September 29th, 1913. The steamship Dresden cuts through the thick, almost tangible fog of the English Channel. The wind clings low to the deck, heavy with salt, coal smoke, and the oily scent of machinery. Waves strike the hull in dull, rhythmic thuds like a heartbeat or a warning. On board is a man whose name is already becoming legend, Rudolf Diesel. He does not look like a man standing on the edge of death, quite the opposite. That evening, he is lively, animated, almost cheerful. At dinner, he laughs, exchanges ideas, speaks passionately about the future, about factories, engines, and a world on the brink of transformation. Witnesses would later say, nothing about him seemed troubled. He rises from the table polite as ever, says good night to his colleagues, promises to see them in the morning, checks his pocket watch, 10 p.m., and then he leaves. The last time he is seen, he disappears into a dim corridor where the lamps sway gently with the movement of the ship. The night deepens. Morning arrives, cold, gray, silent. But Diesel does not come to breakfast. At first, it is odd, then unsettling. When his cabin is opened, the bed is untouched. His nightclothes are neatly folded. His watch lies exactly where it should be. Everything is in order, as if he had intended to sleep, but never did. And on the deck, they find only one thing, his coat, carefully folded, like a sign or a farewell. Diesel's story is not just one of engineering. It is a story of obsession, survival, and defiance. He was not born into success. His path was marked by failure, pain, and near death. In the 1890s, he builds his first engine prototype. It is unstable. The pressure inside is immense. Then, an explosion. Violent, deafening. Metal tears apart like paper. Diesel is thrown by the blast, badly injured, barely alive. Most would have stopped there. He didn't. He returned, recalculated, redesigned, risked everything again. And eventually, he created something revolutionary. The diesel engine, a machine far more efficient than the gasoline engines of its time. His engine consumed less fuel, produced more power, could run on a variety of substances, and that last detail would change everything. Because Diesel did not believe the world should depend on petroleum, he believed in something else, a future where fuel could be grown. Diesel's most dangerous idea sounded almost innocent. His engine could run on vegetable oil, peanut oil, sunflower oil, any plant-based fuel. Imagine that for a moment. Farmers growing their own fuel, villages becoming energy independent, entire nations breaking free from oil. That is when diesel became a problem. By the early 20th century, oil was becoming the lifeblood of industry. Men like John D. Rockefeller were building empires on its control. But if diesel's engine spread, if people could simply grow their own fuel, oil would lose its monopoly. This wasn't just a business threat. It was a threat to power itself. And threats like that are rarely ignored. But there was another darker danger. In 1913, Europe stood on the edge of war. Tension simmered beneath diplomacy. Germany was rapidly advancing its submarine fleet, and diesel engines were key, making submarines more efficient, more reliable, more deadly. And then Diesel decides to travel to England, to open a factory, to share his technology, to give a potential enemy a strategic advantage. For Imperial Germany, this was unacceptable. And so the question arises, did he become a target? Morning aboard the Dresden is tense. The crew searches the ship and finds details that refuse to fit into a simple explanation. On the deck, his coat, neatly folded, not dropped, not lost, placed, as if he had removed it himself, deliberately. Inside his diary, investigators later notice unusual markings. Certain dates are crossed, symbols appear, patterns that suggest intention, not randomness. But the most disturbing detail surfaces later. Before the journey, Diesel gives his wife a bag. Inside, an enormous sum of money, and he tells her, "Do not open it for 1 week." Why? Was he afraid, planning to disappear? Or did he know he wouldn't return? Days later, a body is found in the water, decomposed, distorted by the sea. Fishermen recover it, but quickly realize it cannot be identified. The family is called. They do not recognize the face, nor the body, only the ring and the wallet. That is enough. Officially, it is Rudolf Diesel. But what really happened? Some claim he was under financial pressure, debt, stress, but it doesn't add up. He was wealthy, successful, full of plans, and that final evening does not feel like despair. The motive is clear. He may have been about to transfer critical technology to a rival nation. Eliminating him would be strategic, clean, quiet, a body lost at sea. The darkest theory of all: if Diesel threatened the oil industry, if his ideas could dismantle monopolies, then his death may not have been an accident, but an investment in a future where oil would remain king. Imagine a different world, a world where cars run not on gasoline, but on vegetable oil, where farmers are energy producers, where the air is cleaner, where wars over oil never happen. That world was possible. It stood on the deck of the Dresden that night. It looked out into the fog and vanished, and perhaps with it vanished a future where energy belonged to everyone, instead of those who control the black liquid beneath the earth. Sometimes history doesn't change because of wars. Sometimes it changes because one man never made it back to his cabin.